The Dragon Ball Super Superhero Prelude arc in the manga that's running right now is not working for some people. Granted, it is something different from what we got from the Moro and Granola arc. The interest level in this arc seems to be down. So I want to discuss my belief as to the reasoning why interest in this Dragon Ball Super Superhero arc may be waning and what they could do to make it a bit more spicy for us in future chapters. Many of you have noticed that I've lost a ton of weight. This is not only due to going to the gym, but really it was fasting and overhauling my diet and lifestyle. However, I do miss eating cereal in the morning. Luckily, I don't have to anymore because Magic Spoon is a reality. No grain, no gluten, 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 net grams of carbs, and 140 calories per serving, and it still tastes amazing. Like, I was shocked as to how good this is. I recommend trying the variety pack first. It comes with 4 flavors: cocoa, peanut butter, fruity, and frosted. I like them all, but I loved the peanut butter flavor. Start your new year off right with Magic Spoon. Click the link below to grab a variety pack of Magic Spoon cereal and try it today. Be sure to use the promo code GEEKDOM at checkout and get $5 off any order, or go to magicspoon.com/geekdom. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, you get a refund. No questions asked. Scan the QR code on the screen. Use the code GEEKDOM for $5 off. magicspoon.com/geekdom. Before we get into this topic, I want to first of all tell you that if you're a big fan of this arc, this is not a criticism. This is not me crapping on the arc necessarily. It's just me giving my hypothesis as to why other Dragon Ball fans aren't that into it. There's a lot of different Dragon Ball fans from different parts of the world that speak different languages and that have experienced the franchise in different ways. So you're always going to have an opinion that might differ from yours. And there are some things about this arc that do work for me, but there are a lot of things that don't. And after speaking to some of these fans, I think I have a solution or an idea as to what is turning them off and what can bring them back in. So I want to list a few different things as far as criticisms of this arc. But remember, this arc is only 2 chapters old, so I think there's plenty of room for it to improve, and hopefully it does improve, because when we get into the meat and potatoes of the Dragon Ball Super Superhero story, there are lots of opportunities for them to add more to the story. When this arc was first announced, I was pleasantly surprised because it's no secret that Dragon Ball Super has become the Goku and Vegeta show. And if you don't believe me, check out the stories of Dragon Ball Super Broly, Dragon Ball Super's Granola, and Moro arcs, because Goku and Vegeta are pretty much the only characters in that arc on the good side that really, really matter. You can make an argument for Mirrorus and other side characters, but it's still the Goku and Vegeta show. So for the series to flip over to Goten and Trunks, I think is very refreshing. Not to mention that the inspiration behind this arc is clearly the Great Saiyaman filler stuff from the Dragon Ball Z anime. And a lot of that stuff, that slice of life, relaxing stuff, is a lot of fun. In fact, if you go back and watch Dragon Ball Super, the anime, to be honest, y'all, it's a bit of a chore. Some of those episodes just don't work for me when it comes to the Super story, but in my opinion, some of the most fun I've had with Dragon Ball Super has been the slice of life stuff. The baseball episode's one of my favorites. The Arale episode from Dragon Ball Super, even the one where Beerus had to hide in Monaka's suit, was a lot of fun and enjoyable. Here, on the other hand, it's a bit different because manga is a different medium and the focus is not on Goku Vegeta. Now, one would say that the focus not being on Goku and Vegeta is refreshing, and I would agree with that. However, some Dragon Ball fans really like Goku and Vegeta. They really like Broly, and they know that Goku, Vegeta, and Broly do have appearances in the Dragon Ball Super Superhero movie, and I think one of the issues with this arc is that the end of the Granola arc really teased some major events happening in the future. We saw Black Frieza. We know that Goku and Vegeta will eventually recruit Broly to train with them. We know that Black Frieza is out there somewhere. He's stronger than anybody could have ever imagined. And so because of that, as Dragon Ball fans, our imagination runs wild with the potential battle of the Saiyans versus Black Frieza, or even Gohan and Piccolo in their new forms against Black Frieza. And they're making us wait a little bit longer. While I think that tactic can definitely work as far as drumming up interest and building up this big fight, I feel like Dragon Ball fans, a lot of them that I've spoken to, don't really care as much about this story. And there are other things too. For example, in talking to people, I can tell you that the controversial relationship between Trunks and Mai turned some people off. Now, I think they're still going to read the manga. I don't think they're going to give up on Dragon Ball totally, but it definitely is a nuisance for some people. Also, some fans just don't like slice of life. As much as I enjoy slice of life stuff once in a while, I think a lot of Dragon Ball fans have been conditioned to appreciate the action aspects, which really is the bread and butter of Dragon Ball. You've got Ultra Ego Vegeta, a form that fans have wanted him to have for a long time. That's his own sort of pathway, a power that he's never had before. You've got True UI Goku, you've got Beerus, Whis, and others out there. And instead, they sort of hit the reset button and take us back to Earth. Now, again, I do find this refreshing. However, that doesn't mean that other Dragon Ball fans will agree. I feel like the peak of Dragon Ball Super's run since 2015 has been Dragon Ball Super Broly. That's when there was the most interest, but it feels like at this point they're trying to focus on Trunks and Goten. There's one major problem with that. While yes, I do feel like it's refreshing, I've said that multiple times today, I also think that ultimately people aren't that interested because of how Trunks and Goten have been written during the Dragon Ball Renaissance. Now, what does that mean? Think about it. The last time that Trunks and Goten were truly relevant in the series was in the middle of the Majin Buu saga. In GT, they didn't do too much. Trunks had a bit more screen time. And in Dragon Ball Super, we didn't see them do pretty much anything except for become Gotenks on a few occasions here and there. But outside of some character stuff in the future Trunks arc, Trunks and Goten have been absent from the action. They were nowhere to be seen in the TOP because they were on 17's Island. They were briefly in a glorified cameo appearance in Dragon Ball Super Broly. And like I said before, the Moro and Granola arcs focus really on Goku and Vegeta's development. So I feel like Dragon Ball fans, because of how Trunks and Goten have been essentially forgotten, don't care that much about those characters. However, this arc does give us a chance to kind of get back into the zone. It's a very different feel. It's a very different sort of tone with this arc. However, I think the number one reason as to why people are not that interested, that does not mean people hate this arc, it just means they're not that into it, is because of the fact that we already know the outcome of these events in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. We know that Dr. Hedo gets arrested. We know he creates Cell Max and Gamma 1 and 2 because of Magenta's funding. This is information we already know. And we already know that Trunks and Goten will be fighting in that movie, and they didn't fuse for a long time until then. So we're not going to see them fuse at all in this superhero manga arc unless they choose to change that, which they could always do. I think if this slice of life high school arc had taken place after Dragon Ball Super Superhero, if they chose to tell the story after, to where we don't know where it's going, it feels fresh and new and interesting. But I feel like this arc is completely unnecessary. As far as this, since we already know the story and we already know the outcome, could this arc add more characterization to Trunks and Goten? Absolutely it could, but Trunks and Goten have never been the leads, not even in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. That was a Gohan and Piccolo movie. So ultimately, this arc is, I don't want to call it filler, because that's not the right word to use based on how anime fans perceive the word filler with regards to a manga adaptation, but it's definitely something that I feel isn't necessary. I've talked to tons of Dragon Ball fans who aren't even reading the manga because they don't care. They just want to get to the new stuff or the stuff in Dragon Ball Super Superhero involving Gohan and Piccolo and Pan. Goten and Trunks were just not that important to that film. And that's kind of what I've surmised. I think the arc is not necessary. I think it is something that could be fun, Remember, something not being necessary does not make it bad, but because it feels sort of like something that isn't super important, like Black Frieza, Goku Vegeta, Gohan Piccolo, etc., I think Dragon Ball fans check out and will probably come back when we get closer to the Dragon Ball superhero portion of the story. In my opinion, the only way to really fix this is to speed up the development. I want the arc to actually start to speed up a bit as far as what's happening and eventually get to Dr. Heto's arrest. But I think focusing a bit more on like a little bit of comedy here and there and really developing Trunks and Goten and teasing something for the future. Maybe Trunks and Goten are trying to unlock higher forms of Super Saiyan. Something that was not in the superhero movie but could be a story point after the movie. That to me could be a key as far as getting fans interested. It's always a good idea to tease for the future. Black Frieza as a character is a tease for a big battle coming up down the road. But I think in the meantime, a lot of fans are just waiting for that. And a lot of them have straight up told me, I don't even read the manga. I just watch your reviews or I hear about what happened and that's it. So that should tell you something. I feel like the series, I get why they're doing this. I'm not saying it's bad necessarily, but I do understand fans not really caring that much about this arc because they want something new and they want the story to progress past Dragon Ball Superhero. And in fact, they really want it to go past the end of Z, which I do think may happen. I hope it happens in the next year. That's just my hope, wish, whatever. I don't want to say prediction, but I hope it happens. With that being said, do you agree? Let me know down below. See you in the next video.